Hello there.
How are you?
Awesome. You?
I'm excellent. Nice to meet you.
Great to meet you as well. Thanks for having me on your
Yeah,
podcast.
thank you for being on here. Where are you located?
I am Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, I love Colorado. I went up to Castle Rock this summer for a little bit. Um, yeah, so yeah, I love it up there. I'm in Kansas City, so anytime we can see anything that protrudes out of the ground, we're ecstatic.
I know. I know you are in a part of the country that is like nondescript, so, right?
Just like it's like
Yes, I've been through there on my first book tour, Kansas City and St. Louis area.
okay,
And great people though. I'm from the Midwest in Ohio, so
okay,
I
cool.
love that Midwest I don't know, graciousness.
Yeah, it's a good thing for sure. Yeah. Um, well, hey, before we get into your life and get into your work, I want to know, how did you survive the last 3 years with COVID? How did you get through it and how did it change you?
Wow, I was out I do everything I've been doing up to that point was in person. I had not generated a strong online presence. I didn't need to. I was really fortunate to just be able to do what I was doing. And I was out in California and I had just finished 8 weeks of teaching and doing my thing. And I literally heard in my mind, serve locally. And I came back. I have a lot of executive management experience, and I took a director position at a nonprofit. And I took that job a week before the lockdown happened and was encouraged into a nonprofit sphere where there was great chaos. But by way of my work, my what I do for my life's work, everything went completely fallow. So I would have actually probably been out on the streets had I not intuitively said yes to that director position. I lost all my bookings, but everybody rebooked because most of us thought it was just going to be 3 months, 2 weeks, 6 months, and that went on for 3 years. So right now, with publishing my second book, I am just re-emerging back in my field and looking at a very different landscape.
Absolutely. So let's get to the essence of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. One of the kids asks you, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
I help every human being live a life that's much happier.
So, what did you want to be when you were in the third grade?
I wanted to either be a singer or a ballerina.
Okay. So you had mentioned growing up in the Midwest. Talk to me a little bit about where you were born and raised and how these seeds got into you to help others.
Sure. I Cincinnati, Ohio, born 1967, and my family was very faith-based Catholic and very grassroots Catholic. So our life was really about charity and service, and there was a lot of love in that way. And I would walk to and from school, and I loved nature and was very curious. And I began having a lot of what I call mystical experiences. And I think many children have illuminative experiences. But what happened for me was I realized that this is where we find happiness. This is where we find meaning. This is where I'm going to find peace. This is where I'm going to understand life because life, I had a lot of in life, but I also had loss in my early childhood. And that left me wondering what life is about.
So,
So,
yeah, that's interesting. So, talk to me about heroes. Who have been kind of heroes or role models for you in your life?
oh my word. I would say, I know this sounds bland, but I would say every time I come close to any human being, they show forth as a hero. I would say my heroes are people that I see in the supermarket who I see are treating each other with kindness, or an individual that I know has gone through a great challenge and they've done so with courage and trust, even though they may not see the light at the end of the tunnel. Those are really my big heroes. And then I would say, in addition to that, mystics of all eras, because they come from that same fiber. Something in them has come really close to who and why they are here on earth. And it usually comes through times of challenge and loss. And then they awaken to something that's pretty brilliant and inspiring.
So if you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, who would it be?
Be with, did you say? Be with
Like,
anyone alive?
yeah, talk to somebody or meet somebody that's alive on the planet right now.
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Off the cuff, since I'm not good at like my favorites or this is uh, the young woman Greta who was traveling around with the climate change, and I loved her vulnerability. I mean, she was deeply intelligent. She's deeply intelligent and is a light and a prophet for us. But I really loved her heart.
Yeah, it's she does great work and she always sticks by her guns for sure. So she's very inspiring. So let me ask you this. If you could witness any event that's happened in human history with your own eyes, what would you have loved to have been at to see?
These are fun questions. You, because I'm so curious that I'm like all over the place
Sure.
with what would I have loved to have seen? Uh to be alive in human history versus
Yeah.
natural history in
Any
human
human history,
history.
yeah.
Mhm. I think that any instance where you have leaders coming together around the table and having a dialogue that yields peace.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and there have been many instances of that. Even if it didn't produce long-term fruit, it was a seed of inspiration to see our power structures are still struggling to be healthy,
Yeah.
and to see when you have individuals navigating that system and being at a real moment, a high moment of convergence with other powers to be where there could just be animosity and division.
So what is the motivator for you every day? What gets you up and moving and being you every day?
I have what I consider a tremendous blessing in that I I experience source at my center. And there is a certain effortlessness when I wake up in the morning. There is a I wouldn't say like a big enthusiastic joy, but there's a certain brimming joy, like I'm awake. It's a very simple experience, and I would say that that is sustaining. That continues day after day, regardless of what my challenges or my joys may be.
What's been one of your best client success stories that always puts a smile on your face?
Mm. Yeah, so there was because I work much larger with groups now for many years, but I do have lots of client stories. There was one woman who doubted that she could move through her own anxiety in life. And she began attending meditation courses back in, well, close to 20 years ago now. And she began experiencing the capacity to be more present in a loving way in her life and separate away from the anxiety. And slowly that resulted in the anxiety going away. And then it even yielded healing in her own family. There was a time that she was with somebody in her family that was giving birth, and her family had a lot of challenges. And she actually said she went into a state that was where we used to meditate as a group years prior, and that became very present to her. And she was there, like I was there, the other attendees were there, and she was an instrument of peace in a very difficult moment for a family member. Oh, I can't hear you. You went on mute.
Sorry about that. Sorry. So of all of the things that you've accomplished and done and seen in your life, what are you the proudest of?
That I continue to grow in a quality that has enduring compassion for every human being. It's a felt sense, and that regardless of what I'm doing, and because I've done really dramatic things externally, and at the heart of it was uh, the presence piece, and that I continue to grow to be that kind of person that regardless of where my sensibilities may be around a person or not, that ceases to exist, and that I experience only a certain, this sounds kind of dramatic, a reverent kindness.
That's wonderful. That's great. Great way of putting it. So I got a question. If you ran into the 20-year-old version of yourself in a dream tonight, you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point. What would you tell that young version of you?
Remember that you are never alone. Yeah. My 20-year-old version is a little unique for a 20-year-old because my mystical experiences had gone off the charts, and I was experiencing a lot of phenomena, a lot. It was very, very dramatic period. But I was new in my yes to that, and inevitably opening up to that level of living in life opens you up to the full spectrum of what life is about. It
Yeah.
makes you even more tender to all of the what you might call dark in life as well as the light.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Kimberly, everyone out there has a perception of you. Everyone sees you in a different light. Family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you're in control. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
A person walking their path day by day, person that is emerging in new ways, uh, where some might use the word master or leader or teacher. I feel that everything is my teacher, and I feel continually renewed and undone in walking my path.
So, as we all, as humans, emerge out of this pandemic into kind of a new era, do you have faith and confidence in humans getting to a more enlightened place?
Yes, but not in a naive way. And I'm not a prophet on those levels. I know that my role isn't to say we're going to in
Yeah.
2035 be able to do this. I,
Yeah.
I'm keenly aware that I'm part of the process. I'm part of us growing in that consciousness. Um, but because my experience has been that there's this timeless, ineffable source at the center of everything, including every human being, my experience is that's going to come to its fullness. And that fullness is going to be a wholeness. So, yes, how that will happen, when that will happen, if extinction will happen and will reemerge, I don't know any of those
Yeah.
details.
Yeah. So I'm curious, of all of the advice that you've gotten in your life, what's been the best advice you've ever gotten? Something that you really remember that changed you?
There's so many, and that's why I'm pausing
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good problem to have.
yeah. the the advice I've gotten has actually come through meditation. And I think the most influential advice I've gotten, meditation has opened me up to a lot of different realms. And I know not everybody ascribes to that perspective of being alive. So I completely respect everyone's propensities in that direction. And I really love the way we have very unique paths coming in our self-realization process. But most of my deep transformative advice has come in when I have come into deep places of openness and spaciousness. And one of the experiences that I have had there that has resulted in advice is that eye has not seen and ear has not heard the level of freedom in which we can live and we do live. We in this world, in our way of making it, we necessarily lay up all these ideas about life, what we need to be, what we need to do in the best sense of that word, not in a way that is diminishing, but in a way of being ethical and loving. And but all of these ways that we package our life oftentimes hide from us the reality that in being alive, we are actually free, that's the greatest quality we have as a human being, is this thing we call freedom. And we're actually, we don't master it, we don't hold it, we don't accomplish it, we discover it. And if we're willing to take a look at our lives in that way, we can reframe our perspectives in every single direction in our life, whether it's personal, interpersonal, social, political, psychological, emotional. That can reorient us to experience a quality in our lives that will give us enduring insight, wisdom, and joy.
Wow, well said. So well said. So, Kimberly, if anyone out there wants to reach out to you, hire you, learn more about you, anything about your world, where can they go?
And I encourage you, if you're listening, my website, kimberlybraun.com. My newsletter's there, my new books are there, my bookings are there, ways to get in touch with me are there, my online offerings are all there, kimberlybraun.com.
Wonderful. Kimberly, I love your energy, love your insight. Thank you so much for being so thoughtful and putting everything out there. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Joe. It's been great to be with you.
Great to be with you. Thank you. Have a great day.